All right, Taylor, I'll take the clicky thing. Oh, you're good. Thank you. Thank you. Well, today we are into part 4 of our rainbow part 5. We're into part 5 of our rainbow series, Unstoppable in 2023. We call it Unstoppable, and we call it the Rainbow Series because we are going into an element of our energetic system known as the chakras. Now, the chakras, we'll be talking about 7 of them, okay, from the root to the crown. But really, we're acting through our chakras every day, right? Either through our shadow, which is where we need the healing, or through our grace, which is the path to healing. Now, I talk about navigating life, and navigating life is when we look around at the conditions and we make observations about the conditions, right? What's the weather like? So how do you want to dress? Okay? But when we start getting caught up in our conditions, because maybe we're operating out of our shadow, we're going to start giving our power away to the conditions, which might look like, oh, I hate the rain and everybody drives crazy and why does it have to be like this and the universe hates me. And I mean, that's a little exaggerated, but I don't know, really, is it exaggerated? Like when we are hating on something outside of us, we really can pour a lot of blame into that. Okay, so we only get stuck when we are perceiving those conditions as something that can control us, something that has power over us. That's when we struggle. True empowerment comes from our being able to navigate our life by managing our way of thinking and acting, and managing our choices, and managing if we are in our shadow or our grace. Then we become unstoppable. And we become unstoppable by knowing our divine identity. And I just keep sharing this every week because it's so perfect. Our divine identity, our authentic self, our centered self, you could even call this, is when we are in the understanding of God being all things. So we know who we are, right? We can say, I know who I am. The light is expressing as me. Or you could say the Christ consciousness is expressing as me, or God is expressing as me. So I know who I am. I am that expressing as me, so I'm walking around on this planet right now. I know what I am. I'm the demonstrator of that. So I say, I know who I am, the divine expressing as me, so now I will make choices that are in alignment with that. I will choose to honor my divine self instead of choosing, things that make me struggle. I know how I serve. I stand in my truth. I am the light expressing as me, and I demonstrate that through my choices and actions, but I also witness the truth. This is how we serve. We remember this about everybody else also, even when they're not ready to remember it. Okay, so this is how we serve. So how do we get to know this divine self? How do we get to know our centered self? Well, here in Unity, because we're Unity, we go through our Unity principles, which we went through at the beginning of service. But we study the unity principles. We can also study universal laws, which is what I decided to go through for this series, the universal laws. Now, here's the thing about principles and laws. They are constant, unchanging, and impersonal. Now, for example, gravity. I think I've shared this example already, but gravity is a law of physics, and it's constant, right? We're all affected by gravity. It's unchanging. So you can't decide, well, right now I'm going to lift a bunch of heavy things because gravity is not doing what it normally does, and so I'm going to lift a bunch of heavy stuff. Gravity is unchanging, and it's impersonal. It doesn't decide to put more pressure on one person than another person. Now, our universal laws are the same. They are constant, unchanging, and impersonal, and just like physical laws, they apply to everyone, everywhere, all the time. Now, you might look around your life, and you might see someone in your life, and it's like they were born under a lucky star, and so many good things always happen, and they don't seem to try at all. And there's just all this good stuff always happening. Well, they didn't just get lucky. They learned to navigate their life. That's all. They navigate. If they're in their shadow, they go into healing. They make different choices. They're managing their way of thinking and acting and choosing. So far, what we have covered in our universal laws, we have God is all things. Okay, God is all things. Everything that's ever been, everything that's yet to be. That includes each of us, right? That's our second principle. That includes each of us because there's not any space in the entire existence of everything where God is not. So we didn't sneak in here from some other place. We are an expression of God, an extension of God, walking around on this planet. Now, God, besides being physical expressions of things, God, or the force of God, this force of creation, is also consciousness and volition, and it creates with intention and action. So, there's also that moment when we get inspired to do something. That inspiration is the consciousness and the volition of God. Because God, the universe, continues to work through each of its creations. And all of us here are a creation, and you are calling forth that, more of that creation, when you get a good idea or you get inspired to do something, and then you act on it, and then something changes in your life, and then it demonstrates itself. And this is how God continues to create through each of us. Then I spoke about how what we hold in mind most of the time, that's what we're going to experience in our life. So if we can get up and say our affirmations in the morning, I'm so brilliant and I have great ideas, but then we can go on in our day unconsciously thinking things like, well, that guy there, he had a great idea last week. Why don't I ever get good ideas? I don't even know what to do. I should probably just do something I'm familiar with. And we've got this unconscious chatter happening in our head all the time. We have a lot of unconscious chatter. That unconscious chatter does not always serve us. Okay, so that's called the law of correspondence. As within, so without, right? Whatever we're holding in our mind, we'll tend to experience that in our life. So today we are going into the law of vibration. And then we'll also go into the shadow and the grace of the heart chakra, our fourth chakra. Okay, so this is vibration. We talk about it a lot metaphysically, right? Oh, that guy had the best vibe. I just want to hang around him all day. She's so sparkly. She has a great vibe. Or, God, did you feel the vibe on that guy? I had to just get out of there right away. We say things like that. We also say things like, well, change your thinking. You can change your life. That's about a change of vibration. Okay, but it's also scientific as well as a metaphysical principle, and it's the rate at which something moves or vibrates on a cellular and quantum level. It's movement. Simply stated, so we could say that because source energy is all things, it's the seen and the unseen, and it's what's yet to be. And then Ernest Holmes says this: the difference in form is determined by the vibration. That's it. Now here, we could say the fastest vibration would be pure source energy. I don't know if you call it the fastest or the lightest or the highest, but it's fast, it's high. But then there's also denser vibrations. And this is not a bad thing. Because of having a denser vibration in our physical world, you're able to actually sit on these chairs instead of just falling right through them. You can have a cup and actually pour coffee into it because of the denser vibration. So in our physical world, the faster, higher, lighter vibrations are not necessarily better, because we want to interact with the things in our life. So it's just different, that's all. But see, there's also then a vibration to our thoughts and our feelings. Our thoughts and our emotions, they also carry vibration. They carry a denser vibration, and they carry a lighter or a faster vibration. So here's an example. I want you to just for a moment, I want you to think about the guy you didn't vote for. And if you want, in your mind, go ahead and get judgy if you want to, okay? And just think about that for a minute. If, you can, don't clench your jaws though. Okay? All right, now let that go. Let that go. That doesn't feel good, right? That doesn't feel good. It's a denser vibration. What feels good then, now think about this, and we'll get you out of this. Okay, think about this. Think about someone you're really thankful for. Think about someone you really appreciate. Someone who's had your back. Even when they didn't get anything out of it, they had your back anyway. Or think about your pets or your kids, your partners, and just feel how good that feels. Okay, now I'm going to walk you through another exercise, about lower vibration and higher vibration. You're going to like this because you're going to have to stand up for this one. Okay, I want you to stand up for this. And in your head, or out loud, let's just all of us say this together. No. No, 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 no. No, no, no. Okay, now say this. Yes. Yes. Yes, yes, yes. Yes, 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 yes. Yes. Okay, see there's a different vibration there. Okay, you can sit down now. You know, when I was first thinking about this and using it as a demonstration, we had this dog named Buffy. And she's really the one who taught me, because she could be doing nothing and I could like say no to one of the kids and she'd get really guilty looking. Like she was like, oh, okay, right? Our animals can sense that really easy when you tell your dog no. Okay, so we're thinking, feeling beings that are creating vibrations all the time. The denser vibration feelings we have, they don't feel good because they are not aligned with the divine within us. That's not who we really are. Right? Remember, I know who I am, the light expressing as me. I'm the activity of God in a body walking around on this planet. So the denser vibration, the lower vibration is not going to feel so good. Our words also have a vibration. So think about what you say to yourself throughout the day. Think about what you say unconsciously. Right? Oh, I didn't do so good there. I wish I could do better at that. Why is this always so hard? Like we've got this whole conversation that we have in our head throughout the day. So we are creating in our life through our vibration what we're thinking. The vibration of what we're thinking leads to how we act, and that leads to feeling, and that's creating our current vibe then in that moment. Now, it does not actually take much to throw us off. We can be in a pretty good mood, and one person, like my mom was telling me this, she was watching live TV, and she hasn't watched live TV in a while. And she was excited to watch some show she hasn't seen because they're not on Netflix or something. But they had a lot of commercials. And she said the commercials made her feel so bad that she couldn't even watch it anymore, right? It just takes a little bit of poison. I learned this from Bob Proctor. He said it just takes a little bit of poison. Just a little bit. Years ago, I had an acquaintance and she got bitten by the tiniest spider you could imagine. She wasn't even positive she got bitten, but it just like kind of felt like it. But it wasn't until later when she started getting red and inflamed, and she had to get medical intervention, right? And she was fine. But it was the tiniest bit of poison. Like, it was just amazing, right? How that tiny bit of poison made her feel pretty miserable. Okay, so we can get thrown off if we are not paying attention to what we're thinking about, like all throughout the day. Now, our brain, we have something called the reticular activating system. And all it does is it's an assistant for you, and it tells you, I will make sure that that you're right all the time. And so whatever it is we're focusing on, the brain will make sure to get our attention to more of that. And so I noticed this in myself recently. I was focused on, the price of eggs going up. But then I started thinking about other things going up, and I was thinking about how my dad used to say, yeah, back in the 50s, I bought my first house for $4,000, and I started thinking about how things are going up in price, right? Well, my brain, who's like a brilliant assistant, is like, all right, I'm going to show you how right you are, how everything's going up. I start noticing things that are going up in price that before I didn't even care if they went up in price. I'm not going to be purchasing them, but I'm noticing, wow, life vests are getting more expensive now. I'm never going to be in a boat for the rest of my life probably, but I'm going to worry about how expensive a life vest is now, right? A floaty vest or whatever. But see, this is our brain's reticular activating system proving us right. You could leave here today and put into your brain, you want to see palm trees, like more palm trees than you've ever seen in your life. And you'll start noticing palm trees because of your reticular activating system. Now, here's the thing about what we're choosing to focus on. What we choose to focus on is going to get really, really clear, right? Even if it's not serving us any. And so I noticed last week I finally signed up for Spotify. Like everybody's on Spotify. It's like a radio station on the internet, right? And but you can choose a playlist. You can choose playlist. But you can choose a playlist on there you don't want to listen to. You can still choose that playlist. Like you could choose 1985 horror movie soundtracks, and that's what's going to play because you chose it. And you can listen to this station and think, God, I could never meditate to this music, and it's kind of scary, and when it's reminding me of the 80s, and I don't want to listen to this. But you're going to keep listening to it unless you change the station. And so we have to do this with our brain. We have to decide, okay, I'm not focusing anymore on how much the price of eggs are. I'm going to focus on this instead. And we choose it. We get to choose whatever. Okay? Whatever it is we want, we can choose. And so today we are going into the heart chakra, because out of all the chakras, I feel like the heart chakra is really the one that best represents vibration. Okay, the heart chakra, it is the powerhouse of the human energy system. It is mediating between the first 3 chakras, which govern our physical body, and then the last 3 chakras, which govern our spiritual self, or spiritual nature. So our heart chakra is bringing it all together. And this is how we experience the joy of physicality while we are actually an infinite being in a body. We can come here and enjoy ourselves. We can enjoy this life. We can find joy in many things, but that will come from the heart chakra governing the rest of our chakras. It's also through the heart chakra governing all of our chakras that we're able to bring in our gifts to this world, the gifts that we have to give, okay, our talents and the things that we want to share with each other. That's actually how we create heaven on earth. We talk about, well, this is how you create heaven on earth. Well, this is how you create heaven on earth. You're calling forth greater good through you. You're remembering who you are, what you are, and how you serve, right? And you're working within the heart chakra, and I'll talk about the shadow and the grace in a minute, but this is how we do greater things. This is how we call forth greater good. This is how we expand our territory through our heart chakra. Now, the shadow of the heart chakra, this is an interesting one. It's wrath. I used to have wrath mixed up with rage. Rage can be very physical. It can be like you can tell if somebody's raging, right? But you can be wrathful and look perfectly pleasant on the outside. Because a wrathful heart is vengeful and plotting and planning, like how we're going to set somebody straight. Okay? It's not just anger. Anger on its own can be a good thing because it moves us to change things, right? If you see something in the world you don't like, you might get really angry about it. But then as you start taking action about that thing, your anger diffuses, right? So the anger is just motivating you to do better things in this world. But anger turns into wrath when we are in the shadow of our first chakra, which is I am not enough. And then we go into the shadow of the second chakra, which is I don't have enough. There's not enough. And then we go into the shadow of our third chakra, which is why don't things ever work out for me? Life is not fair. Why are all these bad things happening? Why doesn't the universe have my back? So we go into wrath and we want to punish the person or the thing that hurt us. Okay, the person that disrespected us, the person that they don't even have to do really a truly terrible thing. They can just rub your last nerve raw. And inside you're thinking, okay, I'm going to set this person straight. I'm going to let them know all the wrong things they ever did their entire life. So if we're in a wrathful heart, we cannot move into action. We can't make things right. We cannot call forth solutions. If we are feeling wrath in our heart, and which remember, you can look perfectly peaceful while you're feeling that wrath inside of you. But we'll spiral into just wanting to punish over and over again. We'll never be solution-oriented. We're not going to call forth any good ideas because we're not connected to the divine within us. We're not in alignment with our inner being, and we're in the shadow of also our first 3 chakras. So to have a wrathful heart, we're going to choose to keep finding fault. And we're going to keep finding blame. Now, remember our brilliant reticular activating system and that wonderful brain of ours that's such a good assistant, wants to prove you right. If you're feeling wrath in your heart, it's going to help you find evidence to keep finding fault in others and to keep blaming them. So you can use that as an excuse for why you're not doing what you really want to be doing in this life. So wrath keeps the heart shut down. Wrath keeps the heart chakra shut down. Remember, the heart chakra is the powerhouse of the human energy system. The powerhouse of the human energy system can just shut down like that. So we don't want to do that. Okay, we want to move out of that. When we're experiencing wrath, when we are in this shadow, love is conditional, right? Somebody who you love, you're going to look at them and say, in your head, well, you did this, this, and this, so I'm just not loving you very much right now. And so maybe I'll be passive aggressive, or maybe I'll just disappear out of your life for a while. Okay, that's feeling wrath, and that's conditional love. We can't really love everybody. We cannot see the spark of the divine in every person, not when we're only willing to love people who are doing the things we want them to do. Okay, if we're only loving people who are easy to love. In the shadow, the creation of our experience, that happy outcome that we are desiring so much, it slows way, way down, because in the shadow of wrath, we cannot walk in faith. And faith is what is required to call forth all the gifts of spirit to go to work in our life. Wrath eats at our faith, and wrath eats at our intuition, at that guidance. We're not going to get that guidance if we're in wrath. So we'll just keep spiraling. I'm not enough, there's not enough. Why don't things ever work out for me? I've got to punish somebody. And they're the excuse for why I'm not living the life I want to live. When you look in the Bible, wrath, right? In the Bible, think about that. There's stories of the wrath of God. Now at Unity, we understand that God is a cosmic force. It's a creative force. It is, remember, it's unchanging, it's constant, it's impersonal. So it's not going to have wrath for one person and not another person. The creative force of the universe is not judgy. It's not critical. Okay, it's just a force of creation. But see, in the ancient times, people projected the best qualities of humanity and the worst qualities of humanity onto their gods. And that includes smitiness, judginess, pettiness, jealousness, wrathfulness. But here, this is Romans. Well, okay, consider the wonders that are God. That's just left over from last week. But consider the wonders that are God as you're feeling this. Okay, from Romans 1:8. The good of God is revealed through faith. The wrath of God is revealed from heaven against all the iniquity of men who unjustly suppress the truth. The good of God is revealed through faith, because when we are acting in faith, what are we calling forth? We're calling forth the God qualities. When we act in faith, we call forth greater good. We do greater things, right? So the good of God is revealed through faith, the good of the all that is a creator. The power that creates worlds creates more through us, through our faith. The wrath within us, okay, the wrath of God is revealed from heaven. Heaven is within us, and we're the ones that get wrathful. God's not getting wrathful. We're experiencing wrath because we're punishing ourselves. Now, I don't remember who said this, but if you're taking a hot coal because you want to throw it at somebody else, right, that you could kind of compare that to this, right? Our wrath towards someone else, it's hurting us more than it's hurting them. And so the wrath of God is revealed from heaven against all the iniquity of men who unjustly suppress the truth. To unjustly suppress the truth is to lie about who you really are. It's to live from limitation and restriction thinking. The I am not enough, there is not enough, and it's not fair. Nothing ever goes my way. Those are lies. That is restriction thinking. When we are aligned with the divine within us, all of that just falls away because we're calling forth greater good. Now here's the grace of this chakra. Fortitude. Fortitude gives us the strength to bear up calmly, keep going, and endure. This is the wisdom behind the saying, love bears all things, love believes all things, love hopes all things, and love endures all things. It takes courage and fortitude to face this life with a wild open heart. It takes courage and fortitude because our belief, right, that there's the inner being working through us. God's not a sky daddy. God's not a sky daddy out there granting wishes to his favorite humans. Okay? here in Unity, what we're practicing is the divine is within us, and we take responsibility and we work with that. But do you know when somebody looks at our Unity website, like what they say? You're worshiping the devil, right? You're crazy. How can you say you're God? And I didn't say I was God. I said I'm an expression of God. Okay, but it takes courage and fortitude to stand in that truth. And you don't even have to tell everybody that, but you have to be able to walk away without feeling fear. And that's what courage and fortitude do for us, right? We have a wild, open heart because we stand in our truth. I know who I am. I know what I am. I know how I serve. And it's okay if everybody's not on board with that yet. Not everybody is ready to be on board with that. That's a really scary thought for some people. You know what? It was a really scary thought for me when I first joined Unity because I wanted my Sky Daddy God to do all the work. Right? I didn't want to have to make the effort. Oh, if God wanted me to be thin, I'd just be thin. I'd just be tired of eating cake and cookies. Right? I didn't want to have to put forth any effort. So it's hard when you discover it's the divine is within you telling you like that you have to do the next best thing. Okay, it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work. And it can be scary if you're not ready. Where wrath justifies lack behavior, self-pity, victimization, vengefulness. In wrath, we're not going to do the hard things that need to be done in our lives. We're going to blame other people and use them as an excuse for why life is hard and why we don't have the things that we want. Fortitude is what gives us the strength to do the hard things that need to be done. And when I say do the hard things, I don't mean you have to go build a pyramid or something, but you're making choices. Well, you can, but we're making choices that honor the divine within us. And sometimes that means that we are giving up a behavior that doesn't serve us. We're giving up a behavior that keeps us from being the person we really want to show up as. Okay, those are the hard things. You know, I come to this gym 3 times a week, and it's never easy. I mean, I always feel good when I leave, but it's like I'm not here to do an easy thing. Like showing up here 3 times a week to eat cupcakes, that would be the easy thing. Okay? Not eating the cupcakes, that's the hard thing. So the hard things are that we're standing in faith. We're reminding ourselves what it is that's working through us. So we stand in faith and we have to be brave. Because when we're guided forward to create that next best thing and expand our territory and do greater things, that's out of our comfort zone. None of that's easy. None of that's familiar. We have to rely on the divine at work within us. We have to practice forgiveness. Practicing forgiveness is a hard thing to do. Because sometimes there are people that did stuff and they deserve our blame. They do. If they did something, you know, maybe they do need to be blamed for it. But as long as we keep blaming them, we're holding ourselves back. At some point, we have to let that go. Doesn't mean what they did is okay, but we have to let that go for our sake. Okay? Forgiveness means giving up all hope for a better past. What's already happened has happened, so it can be hard, but we can forgive so we can move forward right now. And then give up our limiting behaviors. Okay, the things we're doing that are not serving us, so that we can live in integrity with ourselves instead of living in our excuses for why we don't have what we want. Fortitude helps us to stand in faith, stick to the process, and do our very best. And we experience transformation when we embody the grace of fortitude, because what comes with fortitude is courage. So we experience transformation, but we experience transformation with all of the graces, right? The first grace of reverence, and then the second grace of devotion. So the grace is helping us to continually see God in all things, the activity of God in all things, and we are devoted to that practice. And then the grace of understanding. We don't have to know how the entire universe is working, right? We just understand there are a lot of moving parts in this universe. There are a lot of things that come together for our good, and we don't understand maybe all the time what that is. But then all of a sudden, just bam, there's your good. You don't have to understand how it happened. Fortitude is what gives us the strength to keep doing what we do, to keep showing up as the person that we want to show up as. This is from Don Miguel Ruiz, Junior. He said, you know you have mastered a soul lesson when the circumstance has not changed, but the way you respond has. That happens a lot in our life. That happens a lot. We can't change everything. Sometimes we got to rise above it. This is true energy self-mastery. So here is our call to action this week. Our affirmation. I have the power to change my thinking. I was holding my new puppy on my lap when I was working on these slides, and I guess that slipped on by. You don't have to read that part. Let's just say the affirmation together. Let's say it together. I have the power to change my thinking. You have the power. Yeah. There is nobody who's going to force you to listen to horror movie soundtracks from 1985. Nobody can force you to do that unless you're in a dentist office. Okay? You have the power to change your station on Spotify or Amazon, or if you listen to that old-fashioned thing called the radio. You can change the station. You can change your focus. So over this next week, I'm going to invite you to seek out, notice the ample opportunities to see where your focus is. Right? Even in the things that you don't care for, like see how that's showing up. See how are you focusing on that? Or how are you focusing on lack or restriction in your life? And then pick a new station. Pick a new thing to focus on. I think a fun thing to focus on, I taught this to a group of high schoolers years ago, but I gave them 1 week, and there were 2 groups of students, and one group of students had to look for 222, and the other group of students had to look for like 777 or something. And I'm like, just think about that and start looking for that number. And they came back. Well, at first they told me, it's like, well, I never see those numbers. Those numbers aren't anywhere. Like, why would I see those numbers, right? And they came back the next week and was like, they're everywhere. Because they gave their brain a command, right? You can do this with white picket fences when you're driving around. Okay, just pick a new station. Pick a new station. The law of vibration in our heart chakra, it is all about your heart. Okay, this heart is where you are creating a life from. It is the powerhouse of your energy system. All of this is happening right here. You were created for life. Okay, life wasn't created for you. You were created for the expansion of life to keep coming through you, for you, as you, right? Through your ideas, through the things that you're doing for fun or for seriousness, okay? Through the way that you show up in this world, just being your creative, authentic self. We're also creating through this heart, we are creating through our relationships with each other. Okay, if we go here through the Unity 5 principles, again, God is all things, I'm an expression of God. So is everybody else. Every other person on this planet, even the neighbor you don't care for, or the person that cut you off, they're still all an expression of God walking around in a physical body. Now, we grow through our relationships when we can be around someone who annoys us and decide, okay, I'm just going to see the spark of the divine within you. I don't have to invite you to dinner, but I'm going to see the spark of the divine within you. So we create our experiences through our way of thinking and acting. How are we thinking about other people in our lives, right? The ones that maybe we want to judge them. Maybe we want to be judgy about somebody, okay? But there's still the spark of the divine. So remember, life is showing us, life and all of our relationships are showing us how to be who we really are. Okay, so the person in front of you, they actually become a person that shows you the sacredness of life. Okay, no matter who they are. They're the doorway to your transformation. They are the doorway to your own expanding consciousness. So God is all things, even every person that we ever look at. So remember, if you want to just remember this one thing, look for the wonder that is God. Look for the bigness that is God. Right? One of those would be very easy to remember. But it does take courage. It does take courage. But see, when you can do that, you are a one lit soul. And think about what one lit soul can do in this world right now. Right? Seeing all of life as sacred, having reverence for all of life, devotion for all of life, understanding that there are a lot of moving parts in this life. Everyone is actually a holy partner on your journey, no matter what you personally think of them. Brene Brown said something. She said, strong back, soft front, wild heart. Our strong back is courage and fortitude. Our soft front is accepting and compassion. And then our brave, wild heart is to be who we really, really are. And that is how we are creating heaven on earth. So until next time, remember, you are the activity of spirit in a body. You're designed to be doing all this, right? You don't have to take any special workshops or read a special book to do all this, right? You're designed already. You came to this planet with this programming within your spiritual DNA. And everything you do, you are blessed, and so it is. So it is.